You have a lot of attitudes. You likely have one regarding gun control, the death penalty, abortion, immigration, same-sex marriage, etc. In this mini lecture, we're going to define attitudes. We're going to look at how they're measured, how they are formed, how we can use attitudes to best predict behavior, and some interesting ways in which we tend to deal with inconsistent attitudes. Then later, in the social influence part of our class, we will look at different modes of thinking and attitude change or persuasion. So, you're going to want to pause the video and answer each of these questions to yourself to the best of your ability. 1, could you tell if someone has a positive or negative attitude by measuring their physiological arousal? What do you think? 2, if you must suffer to obtain something, you really have to suffer to obtain it, do you like it less or the same or more? Does that affect how much you like it? And number 3, how much money would it take to get you to believe a lie? How much money? We'll be exploring these issues and more in this mini lecture on attitudes. Mini lecture, it's going to be about half as long as most of your lectures here, because the persuasion part will come in the second part of the class. All right? Now, this is a true story. Dr. James Fallon, a neuroscientist at the University of California, did research studying brain scans of serial killers. Serial killers are extreme cases of psychopaths, right? People who engage in antisocial behavior, lack empathy for others, are manipulative, incredibly competitive, they lack inhibition, and so on. He found that certain areas of the frontal and temporal lobes in concert are shut off in serial killers, along with evidence that this is passed down genetically. Now, Dr. Fallon had another unrelated research interest. He studied brain scans of Alzheimer patients. Many of the control, meaning non-Alzheimer brain scans, right, were conveniently taken from members of his team and their relatives. One day, Dr. Fallon was perusing these non-Alzheimer brain scans, and he ran across one that chilled him on the spot. It evidenced the frontal lobe of a serial killer. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. He immediately dropped everything else, and he looked up the genetic information paired with the scans, just to find he was a member of his own family. At this point, he unlocked the identity code associated with that participant and discovered that it was his own brain scan. We're going to come back to this story at the end of this lecture on attitudes. So starting with the definition, an attitude is an evaluation of something. So it can be positive or negative, right? But it also could be mixed, ambivalent. It can be strong, one in which you are really passionate about, or weak, one in which you don't invest much. It can also be explicit, one in which we are aware, or implicit, one of which we are not aware. We're not aware of all of our attitudes, right? Implicit or explicit. So where do attitudes come from? How are they formed? We're going to look at 3 different sources today, beginning with genetics. Surprisingly, there are some attitudes for which genetics play a significant role. For example, more often than chance, people share the religious and political attitudes of their biological parents, even if they were not raised by them and don't know them. Another surprising source of attitudes is mere exposure. For the most part, the more we are merely exposed to something, the more we tend to like it. Advertisers know this as they bombard us with the same ads over and over again. Here's a really fun little test of the mere exposure test that you can do. Start with a digital picture of yourself. Using any photo editing program, make a second copy of it that is a mirror image. Next, put them side by side and choose your favorite. Then ask a number of your friends to choose their favorite. We almost always choose the mirror image of ourselves because that's what we're used to seeing in the mirror. Our friends, on the other hand, almost always choose the original. Finally, as you likely suspected, we also learn our attitudes. Another source of attitudes is that we learn them constantly and in three major ways. These three major ways hopefully are a review for you from Psychology 101. First, classical conditioning, learning by association, right? Remember classical conditioning? Well, if your most prominent association with dogs is biting, you probably do not like dogs. We also learn our attitudes through operant conditioning. Remember operant conditioning? Learning by what? Reward and punishment. We are all surrounded by different people in our lives who encourage and discourage us from expressing certain attitudes. If you were surrounded by people whose respect you earned through stealing, you would likely think that stealing was pretty cool, and doing so would actually build your self-esteem. And third, we learn by observational learning, by watching others. Many teens watch other teens for what music, clothing, hairstyles, and beliefs to endorse. And this isn't limited to teens, right?